So we've gone through the basic vector syntax in the last two sections, and now we'll see a rather complicated example of vector usage combined with generics. So hopefully the whole generic thing is still fresh in your mind. Okay, let's get started. So here you can see that we have created a module called Vector3. Then we'll, of course, in the first line, we'll use a vector here. Now let's first, for the structures, we'll create a struct for book, a structure that represents a book, and then assume that we don't know what's the current content of the book. Like, it could be, I don't know, maybe pictures or words or music. Anyway, it needs a generic type T here. Okay, and the content inside is in the T type. So that's our first structure. Then we'll create a library structure. Well, that's a big jump. But now we have something should hold a vector of books, right? The library is basically a vector of books. So here we have struct library. And how do we represent the type of vector of book structure? Well, here inside it, we'll have to books. We'll use a vector, angle bracket, then book, angle bracket with type parameter T. Well, you can see it's getting complicated already, right? So we're putting a type parameter T inside a type parameter book T for this vector. Okay, we'll first review some knowledge on how to create and access generics. So here we have a function to create a book structure with generic type T. We will just have fun create book, then with type parameter T, and the parameter is content with its type is T. Okay, so here we specify the content parameter is in type T, right? And it will return a book T object. So that's return type. Okay, and inside the function, we'll just initialize a book T structure with parameter content. Remember what we said about, like, if the parameter has the same name as a field, we can just put it there. Okay, cool. So that's the first function. The second one, how to get the content reference. So here we'll have a function for public func and get content ref function. Okay, and it takes a book whose type is ampersand book with type parameter T. It's also referenced. And it will simply returns a here's return type, it should be ampersand T, right? Since we're getting the reference of the content. And for the function, we'll just return that ampersand book dot content. Well, another option here is to return a T object instead of reference. So here we need to, then you would need to dereference the content, then return it. So we'll just copy paste this function, and instead of get content reference, this one is get content copy. Okay, and here is not a reference, but the actual object T. And for the function inside it, like we mentioned, we need to dereference it. So that's the only difference. Okay, but one thing to note here is that if we want to return a T object, it's a copy of the original content. So that's why we need to specify that T here has copyability. And also, if we make changes to this content, it's not going to affect the original one. That's what copy kind of ability do. Okay, finally, we'll create a library here. We use a function public func create library with T type parameter, and it takes nothing and returns a library T object. Okay, so initialization is similar, but we now need to pass an empty vector with type book T to the books field. And that's the initialization. Okay, so that's all for this section. And we'll go through more operations on our library in our next section. See you in next one. Bye bye.